size doesn't matter.
Real time.
When most of us think about Disney and Pixar movies, we can't really think of anything that might be considered inappropriate. That isn't always the case. In fact, there have been a ton of times over the years that these kids' movies have actually been censored for audiences all across the world. Check out the rest of this video for all of the craziest times that Disney and Pixar have been censored.
I'm listening.
The most recent Disney Pixar release, Onward, about two teenage elves who go on a quest to find their father, has been in the news for a few reasons lately. The first was good news. The movie is the first ever Disney Pixar movie to feature an openly LGBTQ+ character, Inspector, a Cyclops police officer who actually makes a reference to her girlfriend. Spectre was also voiced by Lena Waithe, an openly gay actor, writer, and producer who has been outspoken about the need for diversity in movies and TV. But that's not why Onward takes the top spot on our list today, sadly. Instead, we're including it because the information recently surfaced that the character is being censored in Russia, with the line about Spectre's girlfriend being removed completely. Russia has long been known for its harsh treatment of the LGBTQ+ community, for the political leaders' outdated and frightening attitude towards it, and they are no stranger to censoring movies and TV that try to broach the subject. It's not the first time that a gay character has caused a stir in a Disney movie that led to its censorship across the world, and let's be honest, it probably won't be the last. While the live-action remake of Beauty and the Beast was on its way to the theaters, the director said in an interview that it would feature an exclusively gay moment. Setting aside what a weird thing to say that is, people everywhere started buzzing about what this might be. And finally, when the movie came out, it became clear. Or not clear at all, because this big moment was barely there. So much so that people weren't even sure what he was referring to. At the very end, we see LeFou dancing with another man. And that's all, folks. Well, apparently that was enough for the movie to be banned in Russia, Kuwait, and Malaysia, and Alabama? That's right, a drive-in movie theater in the United States of America refused to screen this beloved children's classic because of LeFou and his big moment. Sometimes when films are banned or censored in countries outside of North America, it can be hard to understand why. Sometimes we just don't get why one thing or another strikes a sensitive nerve in a country that we're not from. People everywhere were surprised to learn that the adorable movie Abominable, about a teenage girl from Shanghai named Yi who finds an abominable snowman on her roof and embarks on a journey to reunite him with his family, had been banned in certain Southeast Asian countries like Vietnam, the Philippines, and Malaysia. It turns out it wasn't because of any of the movie's themes were particularly offensive, but one moment depicted something that has long caused a ton of tension between China and the Southeast region. At one point in Abominable, Yi pulls out a map on which something called the 9-dash line was depicted. For those who don't know, this series of dashes is a long, fought-over demarcation line that China established, claiming a large part of the South China Sea as its territory. It is widely believed that this claim violates a handful of maritime laws, as well as the UN Convention Laws of the Sea. Because this controversy is still very much going on, the people of the Southeast countries that we mentioned before found the map in Abominable to be offensive and banned the movie. Disney's live-action Mulan has had a long, hard road to the theater since the idea was originally pitched in 2015. Some were worried that the film wouldn't work as a direct remake of the beloved cartoon, but we're happy to learn that the studio was going in a very different direction and instead planned to make something completely new. Those who just know the original movie might be surprised to learn that the story of Mulan is actually an ancient and incredibly treasured Chinese fable, and that this new movie is going to be a more faithful retelling of that story, which, sadly for some, means that it won't feature Mushu, the Great Stone Dragon, or Li Shang, the dreamy love interest of Mulan from the Disney version. Instead, Mulan's new romantic love interest is Chen Honghui, but it might not deliver the same romance the way that American audiences are used to. When a version of the film was screened for Chinese studio executives, they asked that Disney remove a kiss scene between Mulan and Chen. Disney agreed, and Mulan will be released worldwide with no kiss. Censorship of Disney movies has gone back a really long time, with one incident in 1993's Aladdin that everyone who was around then still remembers. You could argue that there are quite a few things in Aladdin that might be offensive to those of Arab descent. Even though Agrabah is a fictional place, it's widely known that it was based off of the very real Baghdad, and some have taken issue with the exaggerated stereotypes of everyone except for Jasmine and Aladdin, who both have very light skin and American accents. But the real controversy came with a couple of lyrics from the opening song Arabian Nights. Originally, the song featured these lyrics.
Where they cut off your ear if they don't like your face. It's barbaric, but hey, it's home.
Understandably, some members of the Arab community took issue with that line, and the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee requested that the lyric be changed. The songwriters agreed, and it was changed to,
where it's flat and immense and the heat is intense.
They left in the whole barbaric thing, but, you know, baby steps. It's no doubt that the Chinese box office has a huge effect on how much a movie makes globally. And with that being the priority of the major studios these days, it has actually really started to impact how studios make their films, specifically how Marvel makes their superhero giants. You might not know, but the Chinese market only allows for 34 foreign films to be released domestically every year. And if your movie can be one of the lucky few, it can go from a few $100 million to $1 billion event with a lot more ease. So because of this, Marvel and Disney have taken to editing, or allowing their movies to be edited, in order to appease the officials over there. For example, in the third Pirates of the Caribbean movie, around 10 minutes of Chow Yun-Fat's character were cut from the movie because they appeared to vilify the Chinese people. For Disney and non-Disney movies alike, generally it is usually an issue of presenting China in an unflattering light that will get a movie edited or banned altogether. Even the most innocuous-seeming movies aren't free from this particular type of censorship, as was proven in 2018 with the new live-action Winnie the Pooh movie Christopher Robin. If you can't imagine that there is anything in that movie that might offend anyone, you're not totally wrong. It is, by all accounts, a very soft, gentle, G-rated Winnie the Pooh story. And yet it was completely banned in China and remains so to this day. The reason for why might totally surprise you. For a while before the movie came out, Chinese activists who opposed the country's long-standing communist government started comparing Chinese President Xi Jinping to Pooh Bear himself and posting side-by-side comparisons of the two of them. Apparently, the president didn't take lightly to those comparisons, and as a result, anything to do with Winnie the Pooh has been banned in China, including Christopher Robin. They went so far as to block all online search results for the cartoon bear, all GIFs and images of him were removed, and mentions of him were even cited as illegal content. There are some things that Disney and Pixar just refuse to show on screen, these days at least. For a while there was pretty much a free-for-all in the world of early Disney animation, which led to all sorts of things that people wouldn't dream of including today. Lately, according to director David Lowery, who made the wonderful Pete's Dragon, there are 3 major things that Disney is not cool with: smoking, beheading, and impalement. You know what? That's fair.
Oh, look at that. I've been impaled.
And yet there was a time when this new censoring caused quite a few problems for some of the Disney content that had already been made. If you're old like us, you might remember an old Disney classic called Melody Time, and in it, a cowboy named Pesos Bill. Well, old Bill was seen smoking in every single scene. Instead of cutting every scene that featured Bill, they instead went about erasing it frame by frame until Bill had officially kicked the habit for the DVD release. While it mostly goes off without a hitch, there are some scenes where you can really tell that something is missing. Sometimes it isn't so much the content of the movie that will cause an uproar, but one little thing during the promotion of the movie itself. Well, in this case, maybe not so little. When The Little Mermaid was first released in 1989, it seemed as though it was on its way to being a global smash hit. That was until some people started noticing that there was something off about the picture of the castle featured on the poster and VHS covers. The tall, golden castle seemed to feature one tower that looked a little less like a building and a little more like a...
Oh my.
When people started to notice this little detail, Disney quickly pulled all of the existing VHS covers and poster art from shelves in order to set things right. The artist claims that he was simply rushing to finish the artwork in time and had not added it on purpose. In fact, he claimed to have no knowledge of it whatsoever. Finally, it's not just around the world where certain Disney movies are deemed unacceptable for audiences. Sometimes it happens in the same place that the movie was first made. This is definitely the case when it comes to a notorious Disney film from 1946 called Song of the South, which has, since the film's release, been buried as much as possible by Disney themselves. The movie, which is set just after the American Civil War, features a mix of live action and animation, and a ton of seriously cringeworthy racism. While it's never explicitly stated, the movie stars a character named Uncle Remus who actually seems to long for the good old days of slavery. Yeah. While some wonder if it is actually offensive because the African American characters aren't treated badly per se, it is impossible to deny the fact that pretending that slavery was all well and good and that times were actually better before the Civil War is a pretty disturbing statement. So much so that there has never been a home video release of Song of the South, and Disney has put a lot of effort into pretending that it never happened. Some were curious about whether or not it would appear on the new Disney Plus platform, but it was immediately clear that that was never going to happen.
What was that?
I have no idea, but it would be really great if it didn't do it again.
Wow, who knows so much controversy could come from Disney and Pixar? We sure didn't. What about you? Do you know any of these crazy facts already? Did we miss any that we should seriously know about? Let us know in the comments. We want to hear from you. While you're here, don't forget to click that subscribe button to keep up with all of the latest videos from Screen Rant.